Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening everyone. First tonight, a new 50-bed shelter for men sleeping rough is set to be built in Hobart, replacing the current facilities at Bethlehem House. The state government's announcement coincides with Homelessness Week as thousands of Tasmanians struggle to find accommodation, left waiting for social housing.
Troy Montgomery slept in a tent for 3 years. Homeless and struggling with a drug addiction, he says he's come a long way since then.
If it wasn't for the Salvation Army probably getting me through my rehab and everything else, I don't think I'd be staying here today with you guys.
Putting a human face to an issue faced by so many in an awareness campaign run by the Hobart City Council throughout Homelessness Week.
We're no different to anybody else. We're just having a hard luck time at the moment. And a hard luck time doesn't necessarily mean you're a bad person. It just means you're down on your luck.
Homelessness is actually pretty invisible. So we have, for every one person that you see who's homeless, there's actually 13 others that you don't see.
Calling for more to be done.
Housing's a big issue here in Tasmania, and I think this would be as good time to realise that, we need to up housing.
There are more than 4,000 people currently on Tasmania's public housing wait list.
Housing ends homelessness is the theme of Homelessness Week. We recognise that we have some way to go. We're acting as quickly as possible.
The state government insisting it is investing.
We need to do a lot better. That's why we're investing some $615 million into affordable housing.
Today announcing a new 50-bed crisis and transitional accommodation facility set to be built in the car park of the old Waratah Hotel, complementing the long-term options already on the site.
In 18 months' time, we'd be standing in a car park with 4 stories of building above us.
The new Bethlehem House said to cost around $30 million.
We need a new building. We need to be able to deliver better services, quicker, more efficiently.
Giving those sleeping rough a roof over their heads as the state continues to struggle with a housing and homelessness crisis. Meg Sides, 7 Tasmania News.
A Tasmanian fire investigator has told a court a blaze which threatened the Fingal township and ravaged thousands of hectares of bushland in 2019 was deliberately lit. Robert Peter Matthewson is on trial in the Supreme Court, accused of starting 3 fires in the space of a month.
On December 30, 2019, the small community of Fingal was put in danger by a raging fire that spread out of control through the valley, destroying thousands of hectares of precious plantations and bushland. Families were displaced and hundreds of volunteers battled the major blaze, which took almost 3 weeks to contain. But it wasn't an act of nature. Instead, Robert Peter Matthewson is accused of starting the fire at his off-grid property he called Bluestonia in Mangana. To make matters worse, it was a total fire ban day. The 36-year-old is facing 3 charges of unlawfully setting fire to vegetation, with 2 other incidents on the same property earlier that month. Jurors heard from the owner of the Colders Gully Road site at the time of the fire, Zachary Mead, who had entered into an agreement to sell Mr Matthewson the property in full by 2022. He told the court their relationship had soured not long after entering the contract and he was looking at ways to terminate it. Mr Mead stating, "I gave him permission to fell no more than 100 trees. He was cutting down trees all over the place." When asked by the defence whether he'd arranged for someone to set fire to his land, Mr Mead said, "That's absolutely outrageous. I love that property." The jury also heard from Tasmania Fire Service investigator Anthony Goss, who believed all 3 fires involved foul play. "My determination was that fire was deliberately lit, and I came up with the same conclusion that the fire was deliberately lit." Jurors will be taken to the property tomorrow as part of the evidence. The trial is expected to continue for the remainder of the week. Letitia Wallace, 7 Tasmania News.
The state's health minister has today conceded Tasmanians would likely be headed into lockdown should the Delta variant arrive on our shores. It's despite our nation-leading vaccination rollout, which continues to gather pace.
Tasmanians have been saved this year from the lockdowns that Sydney-siders and Melburnians have endured. But today came a warning about what to expect should we see a Delta variant case.
Well, we'll be guided by public health advice. but I would say it would be highly likely that those short, sharp lockdowns are the way to go.
Tasmania arming itself, leading the national vaccination rollout. 49% of Tasmanians have received at least one vaccine dose, compared with 41% of Australians, while 25% are fully vaccinated, compared with only 19% nationally.
Our over 70s, we have around 83% of people having received their first dose, and almost 50% having received their second dose.
With 400 jabs delivered in clinics for the homeless.
Because of already living in very harsh conditions and difficult conditions, it is extremely important for them to be protected and vaccinated. Yeah.
As the rollout gathers pace, the doors opened on a new South Launceston clinic today.
There's always logistical problems getting things in, getting things started, but we've got a great team behind us now. We get in, we get it set up and away we go. We're vaccinating needle in arm 9 a.m. till 5 p.m. of a night time.
The clinic here is capable of administering nearly 400 Pfizer shots a day, and those appointments have been snapped up pretty quickly. The general public keen to get back from the new normal to the old normal as soon as possible.
I think if you're eligible, try and book in and get vaccinated, and then hopefully people can start to get back to normal.
The amount of people that have sort of suffered and seeing what's happened throughout the rest of the world, I just hate to see that happen here and to people that we know and care and love about.
Josh Duggan, 7 Tasmania News.
More allegations of staffing shortages at Tasmanian aged care facilities have emerged. The Australian Nursing and Midwifery Federation says employees at Southern Cross Care's Rivulet site in Hobart are being overworked and not supported, which is having a direct effect on resident care.
We're seeing Southern Cross Care putting no effort and no significant concrete actions in place to actually increase care hours at their facilities across the state.
Southern Cross Care says it has not received any concerns about staffing levels at Rivulet, and it currently exceeds the federal mandated ratios set to be in place in 2023. Tasmanian doctors are welcoming new federal government subsidies set to make a life-saving treatment used to lower cholesterol levels in high-risk patients more affordable. Graham Newbold had a triple bypass 10 years ago and has been treated for high cholesterol ever since. Unable to tolerate other medication, he's been using Praluent for the past 2 years.
I think people would be very keen to get onto it if they could afford it. Fortunately, I was lucky enough that I could afford it. It was something I had to have. So, yes, I was prepared to make the financial sacrifices.
It gives people who otherwise may not be able to access this opportunity for lowering cholesterol the chance to receive it without support. It could cost people between $5,000 and $10,000 per annum.
Around 20,000 Australians will now be eligible for the medicine under the PBS. The man has been charged with multiple offences after an incident overnight in Queenstown, allegedly involving the use of a machete. Police say the 37-year-old smashed 21 windows of the Empire Hotel and let off several fireworks before walking up the road to hand himself in at the police station yesterday. No staff at the hotel or members of the public were injured or threatened during the alleged incident. And police are investigating a deliberately lit fire at a venue in Launceston's northern suburbs overnight. Several fire crews heading to the Ravenswood Over 50s Club just after midnight, quickly extinguishing the blaze. Nobody was inside the building at the time, with damage minor. Investigations are continuing into the alleged arson. Hutchins Boys School has unveiled its middle school extension in a ceremony at its Sandy Bay campus. Students, staff and guests, including Tasmanian Governor Barbara Baker, were in attendance. The new extension includes a dance and drama studio and new classrooms for students up to Year 6. The building is named after former alumnus and staff member Chris Ray. You might know the songs, but the musical classic Grease has had a freshen up in Launceston College's latest production. All the favourite songs, including Grease Lightning and Summer Lovin', are there, but some of the dialogue and relationships between characters have been tweaked.
In the original movie, you see that she's a bit of like a pushover, and like she doesn't really have much of an opinion, and she just lets people walk all over her. But in our version, she's very, very opposite.
Danny is traditionally a problematic character, but we're trying to stay true to that while calling it out. So some of his behaviour doesn't change, but how the other characters react to it has.
Around 140 students are involved. Grease runs from tomorrow until Saturday at the Princess Theatre. For the first time in its history, Hobart Airport has enlisted the help of traditional owners to clear grassland. The ancient cultural practices will reduce the threat of bushfire and protect native flora and fauna.
A traditional burning technique dating back thousands of years now taking off on land outside the Hobart Airport. The Tasmanian Aboriginal Corporation teaming up with airport management to clear invasive species and protect the native critically endangered grassland.
And so we're trying to begin a process of starting to rebuild cultural knowledge of these important grasslands so the Aboriginal community can have the rightful place of being involved in the care, management, protection and eventually ownership of some of these grasslands.
We've plotted out basically a square. It's about 4 hectares. We've put a fire break down around the sides. They will come in and basically set fire to the grass.
With firefighters on standby, traditional owners say the cool burning will maintain biodiversity of the area and allow native flora and fauna to thrive.
Many plants have evolved to live with being burned occasionally through bushfires. That's a natural occurrence, so a lot more natural and more gentle than slashing it with a big mower.
A project that's reigniting the need to care for country. Ainsley Kosh, 7 Tasmania News.
Good evening. Hobart and Strawn our top today with 15 degrees, Launceston 14, Burnie 11 and Devonport 12. A cool start through the Midlands, Ross and Tunnock the low with -1. Smithton and St Helens reach 14, Grove, Low Head and the Islands 13 degrees, Friendly Beaches and Bushy Park 12. Top rainfall today was 17 millimetres on King Island, but I'm sure that didn't dampen the spirits of the McSwain fan club. And here's why the north found most of the wet weather today, extensive middle and high cloud over our region. A frontal cloud band extends from over Queensland to the Tasman Sea. Low-level cloud over southwest WA, southern South Australia and into Victoria and New South Wales. Tomorrow a low with associated fronts move over the Tasman Sea. A high-pressure system dominates the mainland and well to the west. Winds southwesterly at 20 to 30 knots, reaching 35 knots off the northwest coast. Swells to 4.5 metres early in the northwest, abating to 3 metres. Gale warnings from Sandy Cape to Tasman Island and a strong wind warning for all remaining Tasmanian coastal waters. 13 and a shower or 2 for Wednesday in Hobart, 12 the top for Geeston, a shower, possibly a shower for Bothwell, 10 degrees the high. Launceston, morning fog, 14 the top later, 14 for Devonport and partly cloudy, early fog 2 for Cressy with 13 the maximum. Burnie, becoming windy and partly cloudy, but mostly fine, 30% chance of a shower, 13 degrees, 13 for Strawn, a shower or 2 for Curry and 14 degrees. And in the east tomorrow, possible early shower, they'll ease during the day, St Helens 15. Swansea 14 degrees and Orford 13. On Thursday, fine apart from showers over the west central and far south. Partly cloudy on Friday with showers continuing over the west central and later the south. And similar weather set for Saturday with a shower or 2 as well for the Bass Strait Islands. Partly cloudy in Perth tomorrow. Showers in Adelaide and Melbourne. A windy but fine day in Sydney, 17 the top there. And sunny in Brisbane too, 21 degrees. Partly cloudy in Hobart, 9 at the moment, 8 degrees in Launceston, Devonport currently 8 degrees as well. I'm in a hurry, Kim. I've been told I've got to pick up some bread and milk on the way home tonight.
You could get a tank of petrol while you're at it. Good on you, Merv. Good night, everybody. See you tomorrow.